Welcome back, guys. I'm Zell, and it's the wee hours in the morning again, so I'm having a little coffee for our Drinking and Thinking video. And you know how it works. Here in just a moment, the intro is going to play. You've got 9 seconds to get your beverage of choice, and I'll be right back with you. So for today, guys, we're going to, at some point in the video, you're going to get a look at one of the Todd knife and tool blades, and that's the blade that'll be going out in a contest first, and that contest should happen very soon, probably within the next few days, at the latest next week's Drinking and Thinking. But the main topic for today is customized knives, custom knives, mid-tech knives, one-offs. Are they worth the extra cost? Are you willing to pay for them? And before you run down there to the comments and start filling in your answers, you're going to want to watch this. There's some interesting knives in the video you're about to see. And I recorded this earlier, so I'm going to sit back and drink some coffee with you and watch along. Alright guys, so today we're talking about customization. Is it worth it? Are you willing to pay for it? You know, we could all do fine with this Black Fox Tactical, simply marked 440 China on the back. It does have a U.S. patent, but we could all do fine with this knife. $14 on Amazon, and we could be very happy as long as we didn't know about this stuff. And that's kind of the thing. You know, we have our standard production knives, this Black Fox or this Kershaw Link. The Link's a very, very good knife. Comes in around $30, $40, something like that. But it goes straight through a factory. Parts come in, goes through the factory, and out the other door as a knife. Same thing here with this Ganzo. But this Ganzo has been acid washed, tumbled, and then it's got a really pretty nice mirror edge on it. Is it worth it to pay for that? If you saw this Ganzo sitting there beside the $14 Ganzo, would this be worth more to you? To get that finish, to get that mirror edge? You know, that's kind of what we're looking at today. Would it be worth it with this rat? And yeah, this video is kind of an excuse to get a couple of knives on the screen, including this one probably for the last time, because somebody's going to own it later today. But is it worth it to have these rosewood scales that somebody made? Is it worth it to have this mirror edge that somebody put on it? Does that make it worth more than the $32 or $34 that a standard rat and D2 costs? You know, there's about $60 in this knife. Is it worth more than that, or is that all it's worth? Whenever we get down to Brous and these semi-customs, mid-techs, you know, there's lots of different words for them, but a knife that's been designed by Brous Blades, probably Jason himself, and then assembled by Jason's people. You know, is this knife worth $200? And that's what it sells for right now over at Vayser Arms. It's a limited run of 500, 2,000 total for this model, but there's 4 different finishes. You know, is this thing worth $200? Is it worth the $300 it's going to cost whenever the remaining knives go to other retailers? As I believe that's what Vayser's going to do. Once they've sold about 50 of each, they're going to release those knives to other retailers, and at that point the price is going to go up to $300. But is it worth it for the time and effort that was put in by Brous and his guys to purchase this knife? The materials here, I'm not sure that they really command a $300 price tag, titanium, stainless, and D2, but the fit and finish, and the fact that it's a Brous blade and it's limited edition, does that make it worth $200 or $300 for you? You know, same thing with this Hinderer. It's another semi-custom, mid-tech, I'm not sure what to call them anymore, but limited numbers available. It's kind of hard to get your hands on an XM18, especially if you're looking for a specific one. You know, I wanted a slicer. I finally got my hands on one. And even doing that, I didn't get exactly what I wanted. Pretty darn close, though. I like the bronze working finish. I do like that, and I like the working finish on the blade because I intend to use this knife and use it just like every other EDC knife. But we're talking about a $400, $450 knife. Is it worth it to have that? Is it worth it that you know that Rick Hinderer Knives brings a pile of raw materials in one door, runs through his shop, and out the other end you have a finished knife? Is it worth it to know that that level of precision is there? You know, is it worth it to know that on these knives somebody took the time to put these knives together and check them, make sure everything fit right, and not just shove them out the door and send them to the customer for the customer to find the problems with them? And then once we move up from the custom and mid-tech line, and I don't have any full-on custom folding knives here at the moment, so we're gonna have to go to fixed blades. That's okay, that gives us a chance to look at that one. Custom fixed blades. This is a Ray Rantanen fixed blade, and it was bought for me about 8-9 years ago, and this was all made by Ray. He pounded out the Damascus. He did all of the nice file work across the spine. He procured the mammoth tooth ivory and the ironwood and shaped the brass handles. All handmade. And fit and finish and feel in the hand is just wonderful. But this thing is well in excess of $600, maybe more. It was a gift, so I'm not exactly sure what the total cost on it was. This handle material probably made it more than the normal $600 he was getting at the time. So is that worth it to have that one-off? That one you're not going to see another one of? Or do we buy this guy's bigger brother for about $100 and just be happy? Or even $1 for $30 or $40 and be happy? And then we have this one, and we're going to get a good look at this one. It's the Todd Knife and Tool knife, and I think this is going to be the first one to go out in one of our contests. And what you have here is not only a custom knife, every bit of it's custom built, all handmade by Todd Knife and Tool. You know, I watched as he took a 2-inch piece of A2, shaped and ground this thing from a blank, took some chunks of G10, shaped and contoured those, you know, all the hole drilling and everything. All done by hand by Todd Knife and Tool, just like Ray's knife down here. You know, but Todd Knife and Tool isn't a big name maker, but it is going to be the first one to go to the public. You know, what would this thing be worth? You know, put your guesses in there. Not that it really matters, because we're going to give this one away. But, you know, what is something like that worth? And is it worth it to have that one-off? You know, to have that one-off where I made the sheath here, and this is a one-off sheath, obviously, for a one-off knife. Now, we did use a Spyderco G-clip, so that's not one-off. You can get hundreds of those. But is it worth it to have something like this? Is it worth it to spend the money you might have to spend to get something like this? You know, and then just because I could, I put the little knives I made whenever I was down there with Todd Knife and Tool out here, because, you know, someday I may want to sell some knives too. Old Mr. Skelton's making a little money selling knives, and I think he's having more fun than making money, but, you know, that's kind of what it's all about, guys. But, you know, would mine be worth anything? Anyhow, guys, those are the questions I put before you, and I know it's kind of a load here, but what it comes down to is it worth it for somebody to take the extra time to do something to customize a production knife like this Ganzo here that's had the acid wash, been sharpened properly, and been tumbled, given that working finish? Is it worth it to put something like these rosewood scales on there where you're adding, you know, $30 or so to the standard production knife? Are these things worth it? Your mid-tech, semi-custom, where somebody's taking the time to make sure everything fits right, make sure all the fit and finish is good, make sure your centering is perfect. You know, making sure, taking the time to give you something that's beautiful. But is it worth the money? Because, you know, we can buy a production knife with the same materials for probably close to 60% of the cost, maybe a little less. You know, the titanium, the D2 is not a high-end steel. Jason does a really good job with it, but titanium and whatnot, bearings. So yeah, you can probably buy a knife using the same materials for 60% of what Brous is selling these for. You can probably get something for $100, $110. You know, maybe a little less. Don't know. But is it worth paying for that exclusivity? Paying for Jason's design chops, and I love Jason's designs. All the swoopy, mean-looking things, I just love them. Is it worth paying to be part of that Hinderer club with the XM18, XM24, and such forth? You know, I'm really enjoying this Hinderer, but man, it's a steep buy-in. Is it worth it? And is it worth it for some guy to take his time and create knives for you? Is it worth it for Ray to go out there and beat on that steel and make this Damascus? You know, obviously there are people that'll pay for this stuff, but I want to know what your opinion is. Are these things worth it, or should we just have production knives? Or is this all we need? Is this all we should have out there? Anyhow, guys, that's a load of questions, I know. But put your opinions down below, share with everybody, and yeah, let's see what everybody thinks about this. And you have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.